The race for Super League enters the land of the Giants, where First Division leaders, the Hull Sharks, are hoping to make certain of promotion against Huddersfield. Hull lead Division 1 by 5 points from Huddersfield, who do have a game in hand. Victory or even a draw would be good enough for the Sharks, but if they slip up, as they did last weekend at home to lowly Featherstone, then the Giants are still in with a chance. Referee at the McAlpine Stadium, Steve Presley, prepares to get this game underway. A very experienced Super League official. I suspect he's going to need all his experience in this red-hot atmosphere. It's Huddersfield Giants against the Hull Sharks. Promotion to Super League at stake. Huddersfield line up with Paul Cook, Ikram Butt, Craig Weston, James Bunyan, Adi Bell, Steve Booth and Ali Davis in their backs. The forwards Nick Fozzard, Danny Russell, John Neal, Tony Bowes, Matt Sturm, the captain Gary Schofield. Their substitutes Phil Beavers, Paul Dixon, Joe Berry and Basil Richards. The coach Steve Ferris. Hull with Steve Holmes, Kevin Gray, Rob Nolan, Graham Hallis, Mark Johnson, Gary Lester and Mark Hewitt in their backs. And the forwards, Steve Craven, Mike Dixon, Andy Ireland, the captain Andy Fisher, David Boyd and Matt Schultz. The Hull substitutes, Brad Heppy, new signing, Richard Wilson, Peter Wheeler, Rob Danby, the coach, Phil Sigsworth.
Very aggressive start from both sides. The Sharks and the Giants vying, of course, for a place in Super League. Let's hope it's not the Wolves who pass them on the way back.
Well, Hull Sharks had a party planned last weekend, anticipating victory against Featherstone. It didn't go their way, and that's put a bit of pressure on themselves, giving Huddersfield Giants just the slightest hope that they could still close that 5-point gap. But the Giants are going to have to pull this one off. On the fifth tackle with the Giants in possession, Russell their hooker and Schofield with a little chip ahead. But it's well gathered by Hull fullback Steve Holmes, who's then bottled up by the Giants chasers.
No penalties so far in both opening sets of 6, as both teams vie now for a grip, a hold in this match. The call is for no penalties, to play out the sets of 6 and work some quality kicks. And a good start from both sides.
Bags of experience on this pitch, and I'm sure that's going to come into play as well, and so is the atmosphere, because great support for the Hull Sharks, which has really raised the temperature here. Chip ahead was from Hewitt, it's gathered by Paul Cook, Huddersfield signing from Bradford Bulls, and already making an impact. Paul Cook, 26 goals and 3 tries so far, his goal kicking vital. Huddersfield on the attack with Bunyan, and now it's Russell drifting across field, looking for Steve Booth. Booth, oh, that looked high. Referee Presley had a look, still carries on. It's with Cook. Cook stepping away, he's wiped the tackle count clean.
Well, he certainly had a look at this one, did referee Steve Presley, allowed to let it to go on that one occasion, but I'm sure he'll clamp down for any further indiscretions.
John Neal with the charge for the Giants, looking to get the ball wide. Chance here for Huddersfield. Sturm thinks he's scored. Referee Presley agrees. Matt Sturm opens the scoring for the Huddersfield Giants. John Neal's ball set it up. Sturm back in the side with the strength to finish it off.
Well, here's the ball to that right-hand side. Jonathan Neal, very, very big, very strong, has the ability to unload the ball, and that was a very determined effort from Matt Sturm, close into that line. He's had this ability all the way through his career as the Cumbrian Jonathan Neal. That was a quality ball and a quality finish, right at a vital part of this game, right at the start.
Storming run from Neal, and the ball over the top, and Sturm, who's been out with an ankle injury. Well, what a way to mark your comeback.
What price? A completed set of 6 early in the game. Hull spilling the course, spilling the ball. Steve Ferris not a happy man.
He is now. He'd be even happier if Paul Cook can pot this one over. And Cook, who's already accumulated 65 points since joining Huddersfield Giants from the Bradford Bulls. He's kicked 26 goals, and that's a vital ingredient to any side's promotion challenge. Paul Cook with the opportunity then to add the extras from that Matt Sturm try. Wide out on the right. Familiar stuttering run up, and then the nonchalant kick, and just a bit too nonchalant on this occasion. Cook fails with that attempt. Huddersfield Giants then with the perfect start. Sturm's try, just what their coach Steve Ferris was looking for. And Hull, who you sensed before this game, Paul, were really in the mood for this.
Well, the atmosphere from the Hull Sharks fans today, I think, was far better than it was at the Boulevard last weekend, but they need to shout even louder and inspire this Hull Sharks side. Mike Dixon, he's the man that's going to make the Huddersfield Giants pay today. He's broke from acting half and incurred a penalty.
Mike Dixon restored to the side today because of the injury last weekend to Jason Donoghue, and I think he's been causing you a few problems lately, hasn't he, Paul?
He's been playing superbly well in the Sharks Alliance side over the past month or two, and has caused me an awful lot of problems in that division.
Well, now Hull Sharks looking to bounce back, and there is Dixon leading the charge. The 40-metre line, Leicester. The captain, Andy Fisher. Fisher with Schultz on his shoulder, but couldn't offload that under pressure from Fozzard, another one of the Giants signings, and a giant he is, Nick Fozzard. And that was Schultz, a former colleague at Leeds with Fozzard. Hewitt working the runaround, or look to work the runaround with Gary Leicester. And that's the fifth tackle. It's Boyd with the kick, and Little grab a kick, and there's Ikram Butt, ex-London Broncos winger, to clear up for the Giants.
Well, a kick of that quality isn't going to cause Ikram Butt any problems. Now the Sharks give themselves even more work to do. Quick tap the ball.
It's Craig Weston on the break, and Weston just brought down inside the whole half, but Giants really starting as though they mean business here, and Neil again allowed to offload. There's the substitute, Basil Richards, who's come on for Tony Bowes in a blood bin change. Richards all bottled up by Graham Hallis. The ball now with Ali Davis. Schofield for Weston. Weston looking to take on Holmes. Weston back in field for Schofield. Schofield will score, and how he will enjoy that. Gary Schofield scores against the club where he began his career, and what a brilliant break from the Giants.
Well, it was Schofield's initial pass that set that break in play, and Schofield using all his experience to finish it off and to put the ball over the line. The ball was going nowhere. Schofield, well, that was a tremendous miss move. Two men doing nothing. Away goes Weston, and Schofield has alert as sharp as ever, and he enjoyed that try. Well, there's nothing on at this moment in time. Davis to Schofield. He sees, he reads the play. Weston, tremendous break from Weston on that right-hand side. And again, Schofield alive to put the ball down over the whitewash.
32 earlier on this week, Gary Schofield, but he belied his years there with all his experience as well, being in the right place at the right time for his 8th try of the season. And I bet he enjoyed that one. He got quite a bit of stick from the Hull Sharks supporters before the kickoff. Now Cook with the opportunity to add the points for the Huddersfield Giants. This one a bit closer in from that first failure. And this one on target. And Huddersfield Giants lead Hull Sharks 10 points to 0. A stunning start from second place Huddersfield.
Another notable offload from Jonathan Neal that's allowed that play to progress, Bill. Jonathan Neal is going to be a man. He's going to be a thorn in the Sharks' side all afternoon.
Well, what have the Sharks got to do to get back into this game now? They were stunned by Featherstone Rovers last weekend. They knew that they had to up the tempo here against Huddersfield, and they've produced just the opposite in a disastrous start. Here's Andy Ireland and now Andy Fisher, and Fisher loses possession. Presley waves play on, and now Steve Booth running at Steve Crazen, and he's bottled up eventually by Craven and Boyd. Russell.
Fisher losing that ball under the ferocity of some great defence from the Giants.
And penalty for interference, I think, at the play the ball.
Well, the Sharks on a suicide mission at this moment in time. Hands and bodies all over the Giants player as he tries to get to his feet to play the ball. And Steve Presley not happy with the performance from the Hull Sharks so far. He's penalised them even further. He's pushed them back for talking as well. So everything going wrong for the Sharks so far.
Paul Cook then with the penalty opportunity after that back chatting by Hull Sharks cost them another 10 yards, and this one just about bang on from where he kicked the last one, and Cook makes no mistake, and it just gets better and better for the Huddersfield Giants. I bet they can't believe the start they've made here. There is Schultz to Boyd. Boyd got a high shot there.
Not the response that the Giants need, and certainly from Ali Davis. That's tit for tat. He's gone high. He's just letting the Sharks know that he's not a man that's going to be pushed around today. And unfortunately for the Giants, he takes the pressure right off the Sharks. The Sharks a chance now through Mark Hewitt to kick the ball out and gain 30, 40 very, very easy metres.
Well, a try for the Sharks now would really lift them after that disastrous start. Hewitt collared by Ali Davis. I think that hit he took has really fired Ali Davis up. The ball went backwards, says Mr. Presley. Here's Gary Lester for the Hull Sharks. Holmes. The ball again went backwards. Play on, says the referee. Dixon. Hull building up a head of steam now. Hewitt back inside for Boyd. Boyd brings it this way. Schultz now. Schultz looking for the gap. Gets the ball in, and Fisher will score. Andy Fisher with the try that brings Hull Sharks back into this game.
Well, that was all about effort and enthusiasm, changing the angles and having enough fitness to support the man with the ball. The ball had moved left, there was nothing on. It was switched back. There's that little inside runner. It's not over yet. Ball to the line. Beautiful ball inside Andy Fisher. Right on hand to put the ball over the whitewash. Well, there's some great guile. The Hull Sharks looking, searching for the angle. It didn't come. Let's step inside. Let's go around the man. And here comes the captain, Andy Fisher. He's aired early in this match and makes amends with that superb touchdown. The Sharks well and truly back in this game.
Mark Hewitt with what for him is a simple kick at goal. And Hull Sharks, after that disastrous start, are now back in the hunt. It's Huddersfield Giants 12, the Hull Sharks 6. Hewitt restarts, and Hull Sharks fired up by that response and Andy Fisher's try that's made it Huddersfield 12, Hull 6. And the Hull supporters who are here in their thousands burst into Old Faithful, and they really are giving their side great support here. And it's Huddersfield now who might be a little bit worried. Huddersfield meanwhile have reversed their blood bin. Tony Bowes has returned and Basil Richards has gone off. That's A.D. Bell. Hasn't really had much of a chance so far in this game.
No, the ball hasn't moved to Bell on that left-hand side, but that's quality yardage coming away from their own try line. Beautiful little kick through. You can see the psychology coming from the captains and the coaches. They needed to complete that set of 6. Lovely little ball, just rolling through, top over bottom. That takes this thing out of the play now. A chance for the Giants to, again, attack from that scrum defence start.
Paul Cook, one of the many experienced signings that Huddersfield Giants have made. But it's Hull Sharks who have experience in their side. There's another ex-Bradford man, Andy Ireland, once at Odsal with Paul Cook. Oh, it's a great break now from the Hull Sharks. And Rob Nolan takes play up to halfway. And the Sharks suddenly playing with confidence, and no more so than Fisher, and Fisher away to Boyd. Boyd for Hallis. Hallis on his way to the post. And Graham Hallis scores his first try for the Hull Sharks. And what better time to score it? But Steve Presley has called time off.
I think having a look, going back to speak to his touch judge, there was a hint of a possible forward pass from Andy Fisher onto Graham Hallis. I think he's going to go back and have a check with his official just to make sure.
I think he's going to give it. Steve Presley awards the try, and Graham Hallis celebrates his first try since he joined Hull from Saracens Rugby Union.
Graham Hallis, a man who has been out of Super League for a long while. He has a chance now to get back into that top flight with the Sharks, and that was a superb finish, reminiscent to his very early days in Rugby League.
Mark Hewitt, meanwhile, adds the 2 points, and Hull Sharks are level now at 12 points all after that disastrous start. Those tries from Fisher and Hallis, 2 in the space of 4 minutes. But what about this one?
Well, that was a beautiful ball. No, that was a perfect ball onto Graham Hallis. He doesn't need any help, any support from that range, and that was a quality try. A big confidence player is Graham Hallis, and he will rise and rise and rise now in this match. There again was Andy Fisher, the club captain, leading from the front, inspirational player to the Sharks. He is back in this game, and so are the Sharks.
Well, Huddersfield, who had their tails up after 12 minutes, now find that they're back on level terms. And Hull Sharks, to their credit, after they looked to be wobbling, have composed themselves and hit straight back. And it's Huddersfield awarded the penalty for offside.
Well, that was just what the Giants needed at that moment in time, and Hull, not for the first time this afternoon, have taken the pressure off the Giants.
Neil driving that ball up for the Giants. Here's another big man, Nick Fozzard, starting his first game this afternoon since joining from Leeds. Tony Bowes. And another penalty against the Sharks.
Put that down to the speed of the play of the ball on the previous tackle from Nick Fozzard. Hit the line hard, played the ball quickly, and the Sharks just could not get back onside.
Well, it was Gary Lester pulled up by referee Presley, and that presents another penalty opportunity for the Huddersfield Giants. And immediately, having scored the try that brought the scores level, the Sharks have conceded territory, and they could be conceding 2 points to this man, Paul Cook. 2 from 3 so far. And this one to the left of the posts as Cook looks at it. This to put Huddersfield Giants back in the lead. He's kicked it. And that's Hull's indiscipline punished. And their coach, or their coaching team, Phil Sigsworth, will not be happy that having done all the hard work and got back on level terms, they then immediately concede 2 points.
Well, they're not so happy, Phil Sigsworth, and why should he be? I mean, Hull have dragged themselves back into this match, and again, not for the first time, their indiscipline has let them down badly. That has to be the basis of his half-time talk.
The Giants, for whom only victory will do today. The Sharks lead them by 5 points at the top of the table, and if the Giants could win this one, then that keeps alive their hopes of reaching Super League. But a point or victory for Hull today would take them up. But the error from Steve Craven.
Little ball out from Dixon there. Craven just took his eye off the ball for a split second. He had a little look. He was running far too close to the ruck. The ball bounced off his shoulder. And the pressure now back firmly on the shoulders of the Sharks.
The Sharks have shoulders.
I hope so.
Ali Davis from the scrum, and Booth with a little chip ahead. Booth puts Mark Johnson under pressure, but the South African winger able to get back there and looking for the penalty. Mark Johnson.
Steve Ferris, Bill, will be jumping up and down in his seat. That was an absolute speculator. No need for it whatsoever. Complete the set of 6 and put the Sharks under more pressure. That was the call, and he simply took the pressure right off.
Penalty goes Hull's way this time. It was Huddersfield caught offside.
Well, the pressure begins to mount now at the McAlpine. Referee Presley was very, very clear in his instructions to the Giants players. They didn't listen, and he's just marched them back now, 30 metres.
Craven and Andy Ireland goes off for Hull. A new signing, Brad Heppy, comes on. One of 2 players signed from Workington during the week in a £10,000 deal. 10,000 that Workington will be very glad to see, given their cash-strapped situation.
Well, a big 20 minutes from Andy Ireland, and Brad Heppy is a man that will inject some fire and spirit into this game.
Boyd looking in field for Holmes. Holmes bottled up by Paul Cook, but that was another great ball from David Boyd. And here is Boyd. The Sharks on the attack again. Craven just hauled down. Fisher with the drive towards the post. That's the turnover, though.
The Sharks testing the Giants with that inside ball. It's been relevant all afternoon. They mustn't seem to think that the Giants will lock up properly on the inside, and they are testing them to breaking points.
Well, looking to pin the Huddersfield Giants down deep in their own half now. It's good at tackle by Craven on A.D. Bell, but makes a bit of ground for the Huddersfield Giants. Russell looking for Craig Weston. Weston bounces off one. That's a good drive from Craig Weston.
Well, 3 big plays from both wingers and 1 centre to force the Giants out of that danger red zone.
Bozzard brought down. Now Schofield with the kick to Mark Johnson's wing, the South African underneath that one. And Johnson runs it straight back, but then straight into Schofield.
Not the best of kicks from Gary Schofield, but he was there to make amends, and that was a quality challenge.
Not very many happy South Africans around at the moment. Mark Johnson's one of them. Hewitt offloads to Schultz. Schultz looking to go through the middle. Good tackle by Russell. Did he play the ball properly there?
He's lost the ball. Terrible, terrible error from Matt Schultz. The Sharks on the attack. Possible little bit of interference on that back leg, but he had to hold the ball, regain his feet, and he has erred badly on this occasion.
It's going to be Huddersfield's feed at the scrum. And Ali Davis bursts away, looked to get the ball up there, but there was no support.
It's a nice little tactic from Ali Davis. He's holding the ball under the loose forward's feet, trying to force a penalty from the Sharks. And if he doesn't do that, then he can try and catch a gap just outside that first man.
Huddersfield with their noses in front, and 7 minutes to half-time. There's John Neal, who gave 10 years service to St Helens in the top flight. Now it's Steve Booth. Booth tried to get that ball out wide to Bell, but it went behind.
Well, there was the little gap. The gap was short, and the ball has gone outside to the back of Adrian Bell, and he is a man who has genuine leg speed, any ball to hand in that on that occasion, and I'm sure Adrian Bell would have scorched away to the try line.
Try scorer Graham Hallis in possession for Hull. Hewitt, Schultz now. Schultz for Nolan. Nolan bottled up by Craig Weston, and Weston, an Australian who's caught the attention of one or two Super League clubs, St Helens included. Brad Heppy in possession there for Hull Sharks, who swing the ball wide, and Boyd and Hallis get in a tangle.
Crossing from the referee. Oh, it's still going on. Graham Hallis is not a happy man, and he shouldn't be. That should have been a short ball, and Hallis would have gone steaming through, but caught and knocked to the ground, and not happy with the attention received from the Giants. There's the ball that should have gone, held for a second, and my word, Hallis would have steamed through that gap.
The penalty goes to Huddersfield, and Paul Cook, from only about 7 metres inside his own half, inside the whole half, is going to have a pot at goal. Well, eats up a bit of time, and it's an opportunity for Paul Cook to just edge Huddersfield further ahead at the break. Well, his kicks so far have been from close range. This really would be a monumental effort if he got this one from not far inside the whole half. Paul Cook then. Composes himself. He's going to have to give this one some welly. Going to drop short, and Dixon is underneath it, and Dixon feels the force of that tackle from Weston. Nolan again runs into heavy traffic. Dixon there's Fisher, and that's another penalty. This one goes Hull Sharks' way.
1, 2, 3 in the tackle. They're going back for another bite. Clear instruction from the referee to release. The man's held, you can't go back for seconds, and the pressure off once more.
It's Craven up to halfway for the Sharks, who've come back well after a shaky start, more than shaky, conceding 12 points in the opening 12 minutes, to then get back on level terms before conceding another penalty. But it's looking a lot better than it did early on for the Sharks. That's Boyd in possession for Hull. Mark Hewitt. Hewitt for Brad Heppy. Heppy gets the ball away well for Dixon now. Dixon. There's Craven. Craven tackled well.
Change of angle again from the Sharks, and they're catching the Giants out on that short side all the time.
There's Fisher, and that's the 5th tackle. It's going to be the kick from Hewitt. Not much height on it, but it's a wicked one under the posts, and Cook Did what he had to do then.
Well, he wasn't going to take that ball and risk any chance then, Paul Cook. In my opinion, that's a gamble to push the ball. That was a catchable and maybe a chance then to catch the ball and come back into the field of play.
You're not a full-back though.
No, I've never had to be under those kind of balls.
Well, it was superbly placed because it was coming down underneath the crossbar. Schultz now takes that ball up and then bounces off Schofield, goes backwards and then gets going forwards again.
Well, a massive shoulder shot there from Gary Schofield, not noted of course for his big defence, but he hit Matt Schultz backwards and knocked him virtually off his feet.
And Hull ending this half looking strong and no stronger than David Boyd. And
Schofield once more, big shoulder, he's up for this game. He realises the importance of this match, not only to get Huddersfield with a chance of promotion to Super League, but a chance to put one over on his former club, the Hull Sharks.
But it's the Sharks on the attack now. Hewitt for Heppy, Schultz on the charge. That's the 5th tackle. Hewitt with a little grubber kick, and it's the try for Mike Dixon, I think. And Dixon scores following up that Mike Hewitt kick.
Beautiful little cross kick from Mark Hewitt, reminiscent of Alan Lang and Derek Fox. They were experts at that change of angle on the kick. And Mike Dixon back in the side, relishing this opportunity, and he was always going to be first to this ball.
Mike Dixon's first try of the season. He's been a loyal servant for Hull. He's had 7 years at the club, and now he could be instrumental in taking the club up to Super League. Because
that's sport, Bill, and that's rugby league. Jason Donoghue injured. Mike Dixon not first choice. He wants to prove everybody wrong at the Boulevard. He wants the shirt, and he wants to be in the shout when the Sharks enter Super League.
Well, they've shown great courage to come back from 12-0 down to lead at the McAlpine Stadium, and Mark Hewitt with the opportunity to end the half on a high. Hewitt to the right of the sticks, and he's been a prolific goal kicker for Hull. 600 points for the club recently accumulated, and that's 2 more. And Hull lead here at the McAlpine Stadium by 18 points to 4 against the Huddersfield Giants.
It's always a true mark of courage and guts from any side to come from behind, and there's certainly some bite in that Shark attack.
Mike Dixon, whose try has put Hull ahead for the first time in this game. And Old Faithful rings out. And it could be that we'll be hearing that famous Hull song in Super League in 1998. Hewitt restarts for the Sharks, and Schofield, the Huddersfield captain, has seen a 12-0 lead evaporate in the face of a Hull Sharks onslaught. Ikram Butt to Danny Russell, and Russell collared by Mark Johnson. Davis for Tony Bowes now, and Bowes, his shirt blooded from a cut he received earlier on. And now the ball with Ikram Butt. Schofield out wide, the ball with Weston. Weston tried to get it away to Booth or Bunyan, but couldn't do that. That's the 5th tackle. Cook with the kick. Underneath it though was Kevin Gray. Did well there, the winger.
Notable that Gary Schofield had chose to run that ball right until the last tackle. He realises now that he has to get the Giants back in this game before the half-time hooter goes, and the kick not doing what it was intended, and the Sharks now back on the attack, and you have the feeling, Bill, that all the momentum in this game has swung away from the Giants, and he's now ebbing with the Hull Sharks.
The Sharks heading for the dressing room with an 18-14 lead. Fifth tackle. Hewitt will kick. That's another high one. And again the pressure on Cook, and he does well there. But he's forced back into his in-goal area by a posse of Shark attackers.
You might have been right on the first occasion, Bill. Maybe he should have pushed this one over the dead ball line as well. But that was a tremendous take under pressure, and there's no way for him to get back into the field of play.
Boyd and Schultz leading the chase there for the Sharks. The ball now with the Sharks fullback Steve Holmes. Hallis for Fisher. Fisher, who's been inspirational in this first half for his side. Now with Leicester. Leicester looking for a little chink in the Giants' armour, but it's shut before he could exploit it. But still the Sharks on the attack. Hewitt back for Craven. Craven, a powerful run to within 5 metres of the posts. The ball swung wide. Heppy, Hallis tried to go himself and then lost possession, and it's picked up by Bunyan. Now Bell for the Huddersfield Giants.
The ball just being lost there under the pressure. Graham Hallis not in complete control, and the ball will always spill out on occasions like that.
Weston with the run for the Huddersfield Giants, but he's eventually tackled by Johnson. But the Giants looking for a reply just before the interval here, and stretching the Hull Sharks defence. And now here is Bell. Bell trying to go outside Kevin Gray, couldn't do so. But the penalty awarded.
Well, very professional or unprofessional, whatever your views is on the subject. That's a clear and deliberate foul, and the Shark fortunate there not to be in the sin bin. That was a professional foul.
Huddersfield immediately running this one with Weston, trying to get that ball away. And there goes the hooter for half-time. And Hull Sharks withstand that late first half onslaught from the Huddersfield Giants. But Phil Sigsworth, a happier man. He'd seen his side go 12-0 down, but Graham Hallis among the try scorers who've led a Hull Sharks fight back. They lead here at the McAlpine Stadium by 18 points to 40. Hull Sharks 40 minutes away from Super League. They lead here at the McAlpine Stadium against their closest rivals, the Huddersfield Giants, but there's only 4 points in it, and it's going to be a fierce second 40 minutes.
Well, let's just see now how the Giants complete this first set of 6. There can be no mistakes, of course. Big break from Fozzard. He's played well so far in the first 40. Danny Russell moving the ball wide. Possible obstruction, the ball's kept alive. Well, we asked for a completion on a set of 6, and Steve Ferris will not be the happiest man in the stadium.
An off the ball incident as well in there.
Brad Heppy, a man very, very lucky there not to be noticed by Steve Presley.
But it's the Giants on the charge at the start of this second half. Well, yep, Heppy, the challenge. Tony Bowes, though, in possession now for the Giants, looking for a big start to this second half. John Neal takes the ball up for Huddersfield. Booth has been closely watched by the Hull Sharks this afternoon. James Bunyan in possession, and now with Bowes. That's the 5th tackle, a couple of metres from that line. Russell swings it wide. Booth, a little darting run, but Dixon gets himself in between and knocks that pass down and then retrieves it.
Well, Mike Dixon had taken a massive chance. He'd come out of the line. There was a big hole there. and it needed a big jump and a two-handed palm down to save what was a certain try on the cards from the Giants.
There's Dixon again. Oh, just couldn't keep his feet after he'd broken the defence there. Huddersfield down to 12 men at the moment because John Neal is on the deck and Sharks looking to exploit it. The ball with Leicester. Leicester for Fisher. Runs at his opposite number in the captaincy, Gary Schofield, and then it's Weston as well who completes the tackle. Schultz now. Tackled by Fozzard and Bowes, and that's the 5th tackle. Hewitt, little darting run, can't get the kick in, gets the ball away to Fisher, still on the 5th, and it'll be a knock-on and the turnover.
Well, what a completely wasted chance there. The Sharks should have put the foot to the ball. 3 or 4 passes unloaded with no direction whatsoever, and a chance gone missing for the Sharks to certainly establish themselves as the leaders in this second half.
Brad Heppy pulled there by referee Presley for going in high on Nick Fozzard.
And not for the first time this afternoon, Brad Heppy, I think, now walking a tightrope.
His first game for his new club, and he's already made an impact. Not the right one on that occasion.
A far better shot there. Used the shoulder this time and not the forearm.
Bowes. The ball back in field with James Bunyan. Bunyan now has Davis in support. Davis well tackled by Steve Craven. Russell. Quick play the ball from Huddersfield there. Craig Weston. Again, the whole Sharks defence stands firm. Booth works the run around with Davis and then looked for the gap. There was none there. Bowes well tackled by David Boyd. Boyd a bit lucky there. Went back for a second one. Schofield, little chip ahead. That's going to be for Hull Sharks fullback Steve Holmes, and he does well there.
The pace of this game now beginning to show. There were a lot of men standing round on the back of that kick. It was not the best chase, but this is a good kick return. His job is to get across that whitewash, and he's done it very, very well indeed.
Gary Leicester gets away. Leicester takes on Paul Cook. Leicester comes back in field and he's got support. And Leicester for Kevin Gray, and Gray scores the try for Hull Sharks.
Well, we've spoken about the fatigue factor. It was big Nick Fozzard who missed the tackle deep inside the Hull Sharks 20. Away came the Sharks, and that was superb breaks, superb support, and a superb try, just pushing the ball right over. There's the break. Guys falling off, the fatigue factor certainly coming into play. Keep your head, keep cool, don't spill the ball, support. Well, there's more Sharks players than Giants players in the frame, and the equation always means that will always end up as a try.
Question marks about the Huddersfield defence there as Gary Leicester caught them cold. It was Rob Danby in support as well, and then Kevin Gray gleefully finishing off for Hull Sharks.
Well, he liked that one. He knows the importance of that try right at the start of the second half, and the Hull Sharks now heading head first for Super League.
Phil Sigsworth looking just as cool as he was, but maybe just chilling out a bit.
A little bit of tension in the neck down from Phil Sigsworth, but that was a tremendous response from the Sharks. They were buried deep in their own in-goal area. The fullback Stephen Holmes, he secured the ball, he ran it out, and then as the Giants defence stuttered, they were enabled, the Sharks, to break away. Great kick from Mark Hewitt. He's had a tremendous effect on this match.
Hewitt increases the Hull Sharks lead, and it was this break from standoff Gary Leicester. Bowes couldn't hold him. Cook just a bit slow off the mark maybe, and then Leicester kept his cool. Danby in support, and Kevin Gray with the simple task of finishing under the sticks. And Kevin Gray, with his first try of the season, has put Hull Sharks in sight of the promised land. And it's hard to believe that the game started disastrously for the Hull Sharks. 12-0 down after only 12 minutes. They're now 12 points ahead. Or even 10 points ahead.
Big test for the Sharks now to see if they can secure some defence. They're all at sea.
Sally Davis in possession for Huddersfield on halfway. Penalty.
Well, Steve Craven deliberately putting foot to the ball there just to try and slow down. Well, it's contentious, there's a question over it, but he's in the wrong position.
So Huddersfield with an opportunity to hit straight back. Schofield. There's Paul Dixon. Dixon, one of the substitutes to come on with Basil Richards and Bose and Fozzard having gone off. Russell in possession for Huddersfield. Schofield again. There's John Neal. Huddersfield pressing now, and Schofield trying to do all he can to get his side back into the game. Dixon to within a couple of metres of that post. The ball spun wide this time. The break from Weston. Weston back in field. He was looking for Bunyan, but Bunyan was bottled up well. That's the fifth tackle. Schofield, crossfield kick, but challenging Johnson for it. Johnson does well.
And picking up a bang right in the stomach for his troubles. But that was a very, very cool and decisive catch. Great kick from Gary Schofield, stretching the defence right across. And my word, that was a very, very brave attempt.
Well, Mark Johnson was sandwiched there, but, and I think it was Nolan, sandwiched him, and he felt that one in the ribs by the look of things. But Gary Schofield with the kick that had Hull Sharks under pressure, but unlike the first 12-15 minutes, the Sharks steadier now, able to cope with it, and Johnson back on his feet. Fisher for Hull Sharks. Danby, and now Craven up to halfway. The ball with Schultz, head down charge at Schofield, and Ali Davis with the tackle. Dixon, one of the try scorers for Hull Sharks, fifth tackle. The kick from Hewitt, that looks a bit strong.
Well, far too much from Mark Hewitt. That was safe and steady progress from the Sharks. They directed the drives, directed the yardage, they knew where they were going, and for one of the very, very few occasions this afternoon, Mark Hewitt putting far too much on the ball.
But it's the Hull Sharks supporters who are here in numbers, who are celebrating at the moment. Their side in charge, and they'll be celebrating promotion to Super League if they hold on to this lead. The ball wide with Paul Cook. Cook, though, no options. Leicester and Danby with the tackle.
The Giants looking for width on that play. They've got to go forward first. They've got to create a jink, a hole in that Sharks line somewhere. The ball drifting across and no real momentum.
Fifth tackle. Schofield, little chip ahead, but Hewitt gets back and knocks that ball back, says referee Steve Presley.
Well, Mark Hewitt and Gary Schofield swapping times to come up with the worst kicks of the afternoon. Schofield now compounding error after error, not coming back from marker, too much interference, and Steve Presley's having none of it.
Hewitt with the penalty, and Hull Sharks leading by 24 points to 14 and taking a strong grip on this game now. There's Steve Craven. Now Schultz shoulder in to Ali Davis, but the little Cook Islander is a tough cookie. He's stuck in there. Hull come blind now with Boyd. Boyd offloads that and Dixon did well, but it just dribbled forward, said Steve Presley. Matt Sturm. And this is good defence from the Sharks. Schofield. There's Paul Dixon. Dixon well tackled. Schofield hesitates. Russell gets it away. Interception. Kevin Gray. And Gray on the way. Shark attack. And Kevin Gray celebrates his second try of the game. And surely celebrates. Although Steve Presley is making them wait. And another consultation with his official. And the referee has ruled out the try.
Kevin Gray deemed not to have made sufficient inroads to get back onside. He's come from an offside position. Well, here's the Gary Schofield play. He's looking for all sorts. Yes, he's not back the full 10. The linesman in full view. He has conferred with Steve Presley, and I think the correct decision made.
Well, Kevin Gray was looking at only his second try of the season, but ruled out by the referee, and for a moment it looked as though that was the try that was going to settle the issue. But now the Giants come back with Ali Davis, and Davis tackled by Holmes. But that might lift the Giants now. Basil Richards up to the 20. Beavers in there. Beavers for Joe Berry. Berry driving on. And Hull Sharks really are going to have to compose themselves now. Schofield wide for Dixon. Dixon can't control it. And that's going to be a knock-on.
One of the very few times in this match that Gary Schofield has thrown an awful pass. Ali Davis running the ball. He has to do that more often. Great break coming originally from Ali Davis, and Schofield forcing the pass on the big shift to the left.
And Paul Dixon.
Here's that little inside ball there from Gary Schofield. He's opening up the full repertoire. Kevin Gray clearly offside. Cleared one to the line, but correct decision made by Steve Presley. Good consultation with the touch judge.
Hull Sharks in possession now. Their fans screaming for offside, and their possession lost. And it was Peter Wheeler who just turned that ball over, and nerves really are fraying out there. And Hull Sharks know that Super League is just on the horizon.
Take a bow, Gary Schofield. He erred on the first occasion, and he always has to make up for a mistake. Great play from Schofield.
And it's Schofield again, back inside for Ikram Butt. Beavers for Dixon, a couple of the 30-somethings in this Huddersfield side. And now Basil Richards with the charge. And they're just 2 or 3 metres short of that Hull line. The ball swung wide. Schofield for Dixon. Dixon trying to go on his own. And he's claiming the try. And there's another consultation, and Steve Presley awards the try.
Take a bow once more, Gary Schofield. He let the ball drift to the left-hand side, stayed in shape off the ball, and it was his pass that put Dixon away. Great strength and effort from this man to finally put the ball over the whitewash. Beavers onto Schofield, takes the ball to the line, just delays long enough, show and go from Dixon, and he's been around for long enough, knows to force himself forward. The ball's right on the line. That's a quality try. The Giants back in this game.
Schofield really has upped his game for this crucial match, and Dixon, 34 years old, scores his second try for the Huddersfield Giants since joining them from Sheffield Eagles. And what a crucial try that could be. And now it's Paul Cook with the hardest of kicks from way out wide. That one looks good, but just drifts wide. Huddersfield 18, Hull Sharks 24. 10 minutes remaining. The Sharks lead by 6. They're in possession just inside their own half now with Peter Wheeler. There's Richard Wilson, gaining a few metres for the Sharks. They're keeping it tight now. Boyd. Wilson again. Dixon in possession for the Sharks. Hewitt with the drop goal. And it's over from Mark Hewitt.
Well, that was a superb piece of direction from Mark Hewitt. He stood behind the ruck and pointed and shouted and told the Sharks forwards exactly where he wanted them to go, directly in front of the sticks, and that was true accuracy under pressure. Great play from Mark Hewitt.
Well, Mark Hewitt is a great marksman. He during the World Club Championship recently took part in a kicking contest against Ryan Girdler and Steve McNamara and amateur player David Rowe. Girdler's no mean kicker himself, and it was Mark Hewitt who won the kicking contest at the Boulevard. And that kick could be crucial to Hull Sharks season, just edging their lead. David Boyd has gone off. Andy Ireland returns for the Sharks, and Boyd getting a great ovation from the Sharks supporters. There's Phil Vevers. Just looks at the referee in disgust because he thought he was hard done by there. Ikram Butts. Joe Berry for Huddersfield Giants. Now Danny Russell for Basil Richards. Richards puts the shoulder into Kevin Gray, but back come the Sharks with Richard Wilson on the tackle. Schofield looking for Steve Booth, but Booth bottled up by Brad Heffy. That's the 5th tackle. And Paul Cook will kick, but straight to Kevin Gray. And you could hear a groan from the Giants supporters there.
Well, that's why Paul Cook's playing full-back and not scrum half. An awful kick, nothing kick going nowhere. And that could have been a chance for the Giants to put some pressure on the Sharks. But the ball far too easily released than just what the Sharks wanted.
And the whole Sharks supporters in great voice. And the finest of Hull singing here 2 weeks in a row, because I think they've got beautiful South here next weekend, but they've got quite a good act on today. Here's Gary Lester, does well to get that ball away. Andy Ireland and his teammates just charging, just pointing up the park and telling him to charge. And now the little kick ahead, and Craig Weston has to be alert to that. Does well, the Giants centre.
Great play from Mike Dixon on a superb play the ball. The speed was great from Andy Ireland. That was a speculator. It was worth pushing. And Craig Weston not for the first time this afternoon, clearing his lines and looking very fast when he's doing it.
Well, this has been a terrific contest. Last weekend it was hard to believe that Hull Sharks were a side bound for Super League when they lost against Featherstone Rovers, but I think we've seen more like the real Hull Sharks today.
Ali Davis spinning and turning the ball. There's gaps on that short side, but the Giants just seem to be running out of steam at this moment in time. The momentum is with the Sharks. They just want to put a little bit more in the defence.
Schofield's kick gathered by Hewitt, who's had a great game, but he's felt that challenge. Hewitt read it really well, and then was caught in the tackle by Weston. Nolan for the Sharks. Here's Peter Wheeler. Wheeler with a darting run. Does well. Mark Johnson looking to exploit the tiredness now in the Huddersfield ranks. Wheeler, Leicester, Ireland on the charge. Still going, Andy Ireland. Eventually Beavers completes the tackle. Schultz, Holmes now joining in the attack with Brad Heppy. Heppy runs straight at Ali Davis and still pumping those legs, Brad Heppy. That's the 5th tackle. Leicester with the little dart, and he's in. And that one will count, says the referee. And that one will surely settle who goes up to Super League from the First Division. Hull Sharks celebrates. Gary Leicester celebrates. And Leicester caught Huddersfield Giants cold there.
Well, great try, little push over from Maxine Hart. He just wants it a little bit more than anybody else on this pitch. That was a great try from Gary Leicester. Look at that. He knows now that Hull Sharks are heavy for Super League. Here comes Brad Heppy, pushing, the legs are pumping, he wants to get towards that line. They're setting up for a short play, possibly a kick in Gary Leicester's. He's in charge, he knows what he's about. Oh, there's nobody going to stop him from that range. And my word, he's a happy man at this moment in time.
Eighth try of the season for the former Cronulla man. And Mark Hewitt with an opportunity to increase the lead now. And the Sharks supporters begin to celebrate. Hewitt, who's been one of the linchpins of this Sharks performance today, from bang in front of the posts, dinks that one over. And the Hull Sharks lead here at the McAlpine Stadium by 31 points to 18. Well, they had the champagne on ice last weekend, they had the parachutists, and they had a whole lot of razzmatazz at the Boulevard. They had to put that champagne on ice, and they'll be getting it out tonight on Humberside, because Hull Sharks are back.
Mark Hewitt can be very, very satisfied indeed with his afternoon's work. He's led by example, and I think pushing Andy Fisher for the man of the match this afternoon. They've been absolutely inspirational.
3 minutes to go, and what a turnaround we've had here, because Huddersfield Giants led 12-0 after 12 minutes. It all looked to be going wrong for the Hull Sharks, and then the Sharks pulled themselves together, got their minds on the game, and they fought their way back and taken charge of a fascinating match. And Phil Sigsworth with just a little look of satisfaction on his face, and he's had a lot to put up with as the Hull Sharks coach. Not just what's going on the pitch, but what's going on off the pitch. A lot of changes, a lot of consultations, shall we say, behind the scenes at Hull Sharks, but he's managed to keep the side on the straight and narrow, well, apart from one deviation last week against Featherstone.
The Sharks now looking at the side that have more confidence, and that's the psychology of sport. They're in front, they're heading for Super League, they all want the ball now.
Kevin Gray, who had a try disallowed, and when Paul Dixon hit straight back, for Huddersfield. After that try was disallowed, it did look as though maybe there was still time for the Giants to get back into it, but Gary Leicester's try really has settled the issue now. Huddersfield still attacking to the last with Craig Weston, but it'll be Huddersfield who'll be battling for Super League next season. Basil Richards tries to get that ball away just inside his own half. Phil Vevers. It's Joe Berry now for Huddersfield. Danny Russell for Schofield. Schofield's chip ahead, but it's Stephen Holmes now looking to finish with a flourish for the Hull Sharks.
That was a great response to a nice little kick from Gary Schofield. Holmes away on the ball. Here comes Rob Nolan. Everybody now wants to get in on the act, and the Sharks have the momentum. They have the field position. They've got the ball, and they're heading for Super League.
Andy Ireland in possession there. Now here is Mark Hewitt, one of the outstanding performers in this Sharks performance. Hull drive that ball up with Richard Wilson, looking for still more to really emphasise their superiority here. The ball wide with Johnson, and he couldn't take that pass.
The ball just being pushed a little bit too much on that occasion. I thought he could have gone for a kick, put a little bit more pressure on the Giants. They're going for the big play. They're going to go out in glory. They want to hit Super League with a try flourish at the end of the match.
Well, one of the reasons Super League is so keen to welcome Hull back is their travelling army of supporters, because they really do follow their side in big numbers, and they've been tremendous here today. Now they're urging Steve Presley to call an end to this. We're in to the last minute, and the Sharks lead here at the McAlpine Stadium. Holmes in possession on halfway.
They'll be looking now to run the ball from acts in half, and maybe on this occasion we'll find that Mark Hewitt puts the ball out of play on the back end of this set of six. Just wind the clock down. They now know they're in charge. They know where they're going to go. They don't want any more mistakes whatsoever. Here we go, Mike Dixon from acts in half, just pushing the ball along. There'll be no mistakes now from Mark Hewitt. The Sharks know exactly what's required. I can't see any mistakes from this set of six. Rob Nolan, well, he's had a big game this afternoon, along with many of his teammates.
Kevin Gray up to the 20 for the Sharks. Hewitt with another drop goal attempt. That one goes wide though, and it's James Bunyan who takes that ball, and it's going to be drop out under the sticks, and Hull Sharks, to their credit, keeping it up right to the final hooter.
Well, they want the ball, they want everything from this match. Andy Fisher thinks the game's won already. He may be right, but the Hull players were still chasing that ball right to the final death.
Here's Matt Schultz now for Hull Sharks. Thumping tackle from Craig Weston. Now Andy Ireland. Ireland, who had an unhappy game against Featherstone last weekend, but has redeemed himself, as have the Hull Sharks, because they have clinched promotion to the Super League with victory here at the McAlpine Stadium. 31 points to 18 the final score. The Sharks celebrate, their thousands of supporters celebrate, and their coach Phil Sigsworth wears the cool smile of a man who knows the job has been well done today.
The Sharks in Super League, and they're on merit alone. That was a tremendous performance, and well, Super League, look out, because that was a guts effort, some quality play. I thought Andy Fisher, the captain of the side, led by example, and Phil Sigsworth, a very satisfied man. That's been a great season's work. He knows the job's been done very well, and the Sharks are where he set out to put them. They're in Super League.
There is Andy Fisher, and a turning point, I think, was when the Sharks were in disciplinary disarray, really. They were penalised, Fisher was pulled up, they looked as though they'd lost their marbles, and he dragged them together again.
Well, playing with the heart more than the head in the early stages, that was the Sharks. But Fisher led by example. He put himself right and led from the front. He was inspirational. Mike Dixon had a great game, as did Mark Hewitt. He directed this side all around the park, aired once or twice with those kick-throughs. They should have gone out of play, but let's take nothing away from this whole Sharks side. They were superb. This week, they wanted to play, they wanted to win, and they wanted to be in Super League.
They are now 2 years absence, and they and their fans can look forward to taking on the best. The only thing is, the last time that they met the best was St Helens in the Challenge Cup earlier this year, when they conceded 50 points, so I think they might bear that in mind.
Well, they'll improve all the way through the winter. I know from personal experience that Boulevard is a tremendous place to play. The atmosphere there is brilliant. It's second to none in rugby league. The fans at the Sharks, they'll get behind this side. They've stuck with them through thick and thin, and I'm sure more will come back in numbers now.
Jason Donoghue with his clutches there, unlucky for him, did his knee ligaments last week in the defeat against Featherstone, but able to celebrate today.
Nice moment there, Jason Donoghue congratulating Mike Dixon. He stepped up from the Alliance side, he stuck at it and played a significant part in this victory this afternoon.
Hull Sharks celebrate. They've won here at the McAlpine Stadium, beating their promotion rivals, the Huddersfield Giants. 5 tries to 3. Sturm, Schofield and Dixon, the try scorers for the Giants. 3 goals from Paul Cook. Fisher, Hallis, Dixon, Gray and Lester, the try scorers for the Sharks. Goals from Mark Hewitt, 5 of them, and a vital drop goal as well. The Sharks have won 31 points to 18. They're going up. Andy, 12-0 down after 12 minutes. You must have feared the worst.
Oh, we did feel the worst. We've been starting off bad lately, but I knew we were up for it today. This was a game we knew all year we were going to win. Great credit to the boys, absolute tremendous performance. Even with 12-0 down, to come back and just even take the lead, it was a tremendous comeback.
Been a nerve-wracking week after that Featherstone performance.
Yeah, we were ordinary last week, and I guess this week the boys put it right. Like we knew what we did last week, and I think that when you look at it, really, that the biggest problem last week, I think we got caught up in the hype. This week we probably got the kick in the backside we deserved last week, and I guess if we go through the season losing one game, that's not too bad.
What about winning it here, though, against Huddersfield Giants in front of those fantastic supporters? That make it even sweeter?
Look, we've got the best supporters in the world. I've been, playing a few clubs and all that, but our supporters, the whole supporters, are by far and away the best in the world. The McAlpine Stadium, a very traditional stadium. It's a test stadium, and one of the big things that was said about Hull this year, that we weren't going to be able to play away. We've won 9 and got beat. We drew the other, so we're undefeated away. So our goal at the start of the year was 7, so we won them all, and I think that's won it for us. So, and you can hear the crowd in the background there going off. So yeah, it's a big day for the club, big day for me personally, but I think we should never get away from the fact that it's the players' day. They're the people that did it, and full congratulations to them.
A relieved and delighted Hull Sharks coach Phil Sigsworth. Confirmation that his side are top of Division 1 and promoted to the Super League ahead of the Huddersfield Giants. Well, Eddie and Steve-O are back tomorrow. We're back with the Super League live. It
took the Hull Sharks just 90 seconds to sink their jaws into the Hunslet Hawks. In fact, Hull ran in 3 tries in the first 12 minutes of the game. The first of them came when Rob Nolan picked out David Boyd with a perfectly timed pass. 3 minutes later, Nolan was involved again. Nolan to Matt Schultz this time. Back to Nolan for the try. The Hawks couldn't cope with the ferocity of the Shark attack. This time, the ball went out wide to Mark Johnson, the first of his 2 tries. Mark Hewitt goaled all 3 in Hull's opening burst to put them 18-0 up. Hunslet hit back with a disputed try. Fullback Lee Child joined the attack, but Aaron Campbell was heading for touch when he just got the ball back inside for Child to score. It didn't take long for Hull to respond. Hewitt to Stephen Holmes, and Graham Hallis just hung on to the scoring pass. Again, Hunslet hit back. This time Steve Price powered over. The conversion from St John-Ellis making it 24-10. But after that, it was all Hull. Richard Wilson doing well to offload to Maya David. The long ball out wide to Holmes and finished off by Kevin Gray. Hull led 28-10 at the break, and they didn't let up in the second half. Nolan to Brad Heppy. And the Hull loose forward just strolled in for his second try a few minutes later. On the hour, Hull's South African winger Mark Johnson grabbed his second try of the game, finishing off another sweeping Shark attack. It was Johnson's 9th try in 7 matches. Another attack from halfway pierced the Hunslet defence with 5 minutes to go. This time it was Holmes with the decisive break for Hewitt to finish off, adding a try to his 6 goals. And in the final minute, a superb step from Holmes wrong-footed the Hunslet defence, or what was left of it, giving Rob Danby the chance to score.